Good afternoon, world. LBX here, Marihoutie, hanging out in the Christmas tree room. Well, the St. Patrick's Day tree room. Let me give you a little gander. St. Patrick's Day is come and gone, but our tree is living on, and it's going to be an Easter tree probably, because it's still alive. Keep watering it, keeps living, giving it a chance. Eventually we'll burn it, and I'll probably show you guys a video of that too. I'm having a hard time surfing Facebook and watching people's feeds. I feel like the isolation and the time alone has given a lot of people the courage to start expressing things publicly that maybe they wouldn't have earlier. And you're starting to see where people's fears are at and where their aspirations are at and where their dreams are at, what their complications are, and how they feel about things. And I'm starting to see that I'm isolated in some of my thoughts and some of my feelings, and that those things are kind of hard to grasp with a certain group of people that I interact with. And let the record reflect. I'll just say this to begin with. If you embrace human suffering, or you think that profiting off other human beings at their detriment is acceptable, then you and I will never be friends. I'll never accept you. I'll never vouch for you. I'll defend your rights to exist within this country, but we will always be antithetical. You have to understand that. I'm in the business of helping people mentally, physically, emotionally, in any ways that I can be of service. And if you're against that, then how will we ever get along? Everyone likes to have fun, but there comes a point where fun leads to madness. Some of us have lost their grip, their ability to reason with reality. And it's sad because I've been there. I've been entrenched in the madness. I've felt what chaos is like. I have an autoimmune disorder. It's an RDNA encephalitis. Basically, it means that when my immune system gets triggered, instead of attacking the disease, it attacks my brain cells, and it gives me, my brain swells and I go crazy. I was in the mental hospital. I did the actual hospital because I got really sick. No one could figure out what was wrong with me, and I was insane. I have a lot of memories from that experience of being out of my mind. And I see other people doing it to themselves willingly, either because they're running from something that hurts them, or they're afraid of something that they can't fix. Or the problem is that all you're doing is throwing water into the ocean and hoping it'll dry. There's going to come a point where you aren't going to have anyone else to use or manipulate or draw power from. You're only going to have yourself to rely on. And that time might be coming soon. The world's changing. We're suddenly realizing there's a bunch of jobs and a bunch of occupations that don't mean anything anymore. There's a lot of people that are going to have to reevaluate what they bring to society, how they can help people. There's a lot of people understanding how valuable artists are. You can make things. You can help people through these times and help people feel different emotions and help people have peace. Peace is so important. Are you interested now? Are you going to listen? Are you judging me? You're allowed to judge me. Cool. When she blinks slowly, it's a sign of affection. When predators do that, they're telling you that you're not a threat and you're not food. I want us to build a better world. I want us to embrace things that we haven't done before. I want us to take the scariness of this time and use it to make something of ourselves. That's enough sadness. Let's talk about some more fun things. I wanted to talk about who you think your favorite hero is in fiction. It could be a video game or comic book, maybe a movie. I think I know who the ultimate one is, and it's kind of a rant, but I feel like you guys are cool and I can share it with you, and Marihoutie loves when I talk about owls, right? Yeah. My favorite hero is Link from The Legend of Zelda. He is, well, there are many of him. Each game is a different incarnation and a different hero on a different timeline, and they all kind of interact with each other in really interesting ways. But Link, the idea of Link is the spirit of a hero, is a person who, no matter their circumstance, instead of running away from danger, runs towards the danger to help the people who are afraid. And Link, most of his adventures, he's a little kid. He's like 11 years old in Wind Waker, and he sails the Great Sea, he fights giant monsters, he fights Ganon, who has 2 swords, and is a grown man who is filled with magical powers, and he beats him. And he destroys the old kingdom, and he raises up the new kingdom, and he does it while he's a kid. And like, say what you want about your heroes. Iron Man did nothing when he was a kid. He was rich and spoiled. Batman did nothing when he was a kid. He was being taken care of by Alfred. Superman did nothing when he was a kid. He had a mental block on his powers. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles weren't ninjas until they became teenagers. Link was a kid, saving the world, righting wrongs, and he was doing the things that you dreamt about when you were young, if you dream of being a hero. There's something about that story that just captivates me. The idea of constantly fighting evil and maybe never really being able to conquer it, but you won't allow it to continue while it's on your watch or you'll die trying. And Link does everything alone. He's got friends. The friends don't come with him in the dungeon. Maybe 1 or 2 does, but they don't fight. They're there to offer advice. It's like having your cell phone on you before you go into therapy. Your friend can call you and tell you, this is how it's going to be. But when it comes to the work of fixing yourself or fixing the world, you find yourself with only your 2 hands. And it's rad. It's all about your intelligence, your ability to explore and to think and to navigate. Power's a funny thing. The real power, I think, exists within us, though, when we come together, when we're unified. But the problem is that I can't find myself unifying with people who don't want to be good people. People who are committed to things that you would call evil. How do I resolve that in myself? How do I come to grips with that? How do I let that go? I can't. I'm never going to. It's not within me. I have a lot of aspirations and plans. I have dreams and ideas and thoughts for the future. I would love to live in a world where we could openly debate our ideas and talk about things, but every once in a while you get a subset of people that want to take ideas that are inherently harmful and spread them and think that that's a right. And it isn't. Or at the very least, it is a right, but you also have the right to the consequences that follow. People flame you or come against you or castigate you, they're inheriting the consequences of your response. I don't know how the world's going to feel about me when people start watching these videos. I spend a lot of time by myself and I plan out my socialization very carefully. When I go perform somewhere or I'm doing something with her, it's on purpose. Everything is intentional. There are a few people that get to see me in these moments when I'm being serious, trying to be real, even though I feel like sometimes I don't know what that is anymore. I was so hung up when I was younger on being perfect and trying to be the best at everything that I did, and I was for a long time. There's a hollowness that grows inside of you, though, when you're at the top of the mountain, because it's fun to climb, but no one's supposed to live there. You find yourself searching the earth for rivals or people who can crush you so that you can feel the fire of competition again. I want to feel that again. I have a friend who does similar things that I do and has a healthy mindset, but I taught him his moves and his tricks. It's not really a rival situation there. None of the contemporaries, if you can call them contemporaries, that I have in my current subset are worth tangling with. Their ideas of what constitutes a joke or what constitutes art is amateur at best. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you should also be cognizant of where you're at and be humble with yourself and be able to accept that you're not invincible. Like, when you do art, are you trying to make it for artists? Or are you trying to make it for an audience? You have to ask yourself, what's the real goal here? Are you trying to talk to people who are working in the same medium as you? Or are you trying to talk to people who have no idea what you're talking about and you have to explain the very basic elements of them with the work? It's an interesting conundrum. It's something that I wrestle with a lot. You want to get fancy, go intricate, crushing things, but it doesn't work like that. I will find balance. I will find a way to communicate on a level that people can understand. It's probably one of the worst things about these videos, is such a vulnerable place to sit in front of this camera and then record these thoughts that I have a lot, you know? And I don't feel sad. Well, I do feel sad, but that's unrelated. And I'm dealing with my sadness. And sadness is a natural part of life. It's not something to be run from. It's something to be embraced. It's something that teaches us. It's a nice day outside, and none of us can go out and hang out in it. The only thing that I want to do right now is like go down to the river, go to the beach. Dude, go eat a hamburger on a porch with my friends. Like, I don't care. It's not gonna happen. We're confined here now. I think that people, like I said last time, you're starting to learn what isolation really means and really is, you know? You're connected to people, but not in the way that you want to be. It's all starting to come out and bubble up to the surface. There isn't anything to distract you from your thoughts anymore. One of my best friends on the earth was like, oh, I have to be by myself? Good thing I love myself so that I don't feel fucked up and lonely. A lot of you hate yourselves. That makes me feel so bad. But there isn't any fixing it, because you're the only one that can make that not true. You're the only one that can release the grip that you have and all the shells that you built around yourself. And yes, of course you're going to get hurt. That's part of life. But it doesn't mean you stop trying. I'm all about embracing where you're at. I know what I look like. I know what I sound like. I know what I'm able to do on stage and off stage. I know how I'm able to interact with people. We'll see how all this goes, because even as I'm saying this, like, I don't know how this particular medium is going to treat me. There are many arts that I've tried that have chewed me up and spit me out. Because not everyone is meant to create equally. Thank you for hanging out. You guys have a great day. Cheers.